Hello and welcome to another stream on IndieX. We are live on RTP Arena and we are live also on Rubber Chicken TV. This this stream is Little Orpheus, a very fun puzzle platformer by the Chinese Room. And with me to talk about the game, I have Laura Dodds and Will Traynor. Hello, how are you guys?
Hi, yeah, great. How are you?
Hi. Good, thanks.
And you, Laura?
How are you?
Yeah, fine. Can you hear me?
Agora multidão no Discord.
I think you are
I
muted
think you are
on
muted
Discord,
on
Laura.
Discord, Laura.
Yes, sorry. I thought I was getting my audio through. Anyway, technical problems aside, yeah, really happy to be here. Thank you. Yeah, and how are you?
Great, I'm
Great, I'm great because I'm playing a great game
with
today
beautiful
and with
people
beautiful
here. Let's
people
go to the
here.
game
Let's go to the
because people on the stream do not want to see my face; they want to see the game. We'll talk as we go. Well, what can you say about Little
Little
Orpheus?
Orpheus.
I think it was just game to work on. I felt like the story and the writing just kind of made me chuckle and laugh whilst I was making it. And it was just so, well, from the art side, just so sort of bright and colourful, and we didn't have to take it too seriously. We were able to make little jokes in, and it was just, yeah, just real joy to work on.
Really nice. Just being able to have fun with it, and every episode that is throughout the game, just having so many different wacky things happen, and that being the focus, not being so complicated or mechanically advanced. It was more about the fun that was in the game, which I thought was a really good focus.
It's very, very hard
very
to
hard
make
to
funny
make
games
funny
because
games.
most of the jokes do not. They are not very funny when in a video game setting. It's easier to make a game, a movie, a comedy that a game that is funny. So I have to tip you my hat for that.
I think also what was really fun is like the comedy in the cutscenes. I think works really well. The dialogue and the interchange between Ivan and the commander. But what I wasn't expecting is how much physical comedy we could get into the gameplay. I think we'll see later on with like the egg scene where Ivan is hiding inside an egg, and the music kind of works really well to punctuate the movement. I think just the way he moves and he's kind of a sort of a clumsy, haphazard, not a typical hero. He's quite a lovable character. So yeah, I think it was nice that the comedy wasn't just reserved for the cutscenes; it kind of spreads throughout the entire game.
Yeah, you definitely noticed it throughout the whole dev team as well, that was a focus, was to, when you look at like the animations that were done, it was everything was turn it up, make it cartoonish, make it funny. The level design, it was try and think of ways that this could be funny or amusing.
Yeah,
Everything was turned up. Same with the art, I'd assume it was make it colourful and bright and just make everything fantastical.
I was trying to remember. Will, are you the one who put in the walruses that are like on a kind of seesaw?
So yeah.
Yeah, that was also. I mean, you'll see this. It's episodic, so I also enjoyed that we had the way we worked as artists. And so when I got a bit tired of the bit I was working on, I could just play another level. I might just get so much joy out of working and just playing, someone else's work. So that was also a really nice aspect of the development of it.
Little Orpheus will be one of those games that on Twitch people will not perceive how detailed and beautiful the scenario is, because it has so many details, so many tricks with lights and lighting. It's so beautiful, the game, and there I'm not sure if the ones watching us will notice that. It's fantastic, this game.
I mean, that's what was so exciting, is seeing it on bigger screens. It's really fun to see some of the hard work and detail we put into the environments, like being shown to their best on like console and PC.
Yeah, the background, we are so many different planes here. It's impressive. How big is the team behind Little Orpheus?
Because we continually grew throughout development. When I joined, there was only maybe 6 or 7 people on it, but by the time the game released, there was maybe about 30.
Yeah, I'd say
around about that.
Yeah, I'd say maximum 30.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot smaller team at the beginning. I think in terms of art and design, just because that's the department that we're probably most familiar with, maybe 5 or 6 artists and kind of 5 designers. Is that about right? Do you think, well?
I think we were actually a very big art team. I think people would be surprised the ratio of artists that were on this in comparison to everything else. There was, and I think you can see it in how nice the game looks. But yeah, there was a lot of artists on the game, and compared to designers or audio, things like that.
The audio, the music is very atmospheric, very well selected. It seems like seems like perfect for this for what we are seeing in the screen.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was composed with that, like played the levels for Jess, who looked at them and then composed the music, looking at the levels being played. Even when they were in their sort of early stages without much of the art, and you could still tell the feel and that was intended for the gameplay. So
that's like
the music.
Sorry.
No, you, Laura.
I was just going to say it's like a huge cornerstone for Chinese room games. So Jessica Curry, she's one of the founders of the studio, and she's just an incredibly talented composer. So we're so lucky to be able to work with her and Jim Fowler. And I remember the first time like playing some of my levels with the music in, and it just lifted the whole experience. So yeah, I think I'm really glad you pulled out the music. I think it's one of the best things about this game, and also just TCR, the Chinese room games in general. Definitely pride ourselves on music and composition.
Yeah, I'm listening now to classical music. This is fantastic. I do not know if people can perceive this as well as I can here, but this is fantastic.
Yeah, as a present for when we wrap, we all got a big vinyl of the soundtrack. So I've got it up in my living room wall, and sometimes play it on a record player. That was the music.
There's still room, really.
In the beginning of the gameplay, you have talked about our character, Ivanovich. He is very lovable. It's an everyday Joe. Do you get the inspiration from someone, or is just a character with no connection to with no connection to anyone in particular?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Dan Pinchbeck, creative director, wrote most of the script and the character. I say most of it, all I'm not sure. But I don't know if he was based on anyone in particular.
I know the name. I think the name comes from what the Russians used to call their like test dummies.
Yeah.
I think they would call their test dummies Ivan Ivanovich. So that's where the name came from, because he was essentially the test dummy getting sent down to the center of the earth.
Yeah, Ivan Ivanovich is a name that we listen from time to time. So now I know it. I did not know that. It's the first time that I listened to that. Well, this is when I've read The Chinese Room. You are behind the Amnesia, aren't you?
Yeah.
Such
Quite
a
different change of pace.
Ooh, it is. Wow. It's not even in the same ballpark. This game.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's also
That was
evidence
definitely
when-
on purpose. Of we wanted to make something very different with this Chinese Room release. It wanted to be something more light-hearted and fun, and more, I guess, have more of that Chinese Room script in there and flavour, but with a more fun game, a bit more light-hearted, more family-oriented. It was definitely on purpose.
Yeah, I think it carries through is a focus on narrative and like sort of, quality, but uh, in terms of like our future projects and the ones that we've done before, I think we definitely have a kind of Chinese room audience, but that our projects can vary.
It's like the focus with the Chinese Room is definitely narrative, and that'll carry on to every game that we make. Will always be narrative as a focus, and you'll see things like music, which carries through. The music generally tends to be really good, but we wanted to show that you can make other types of games. It's not the typical walking simulator that the Chinese Room is associated.
Yeah, exactly. Wanted to focus more on mechanics and gameplay and making that innovative and interesting as well to see how, innovation in terms of how we tell a story.
Even so, the story, it's quite a story driven game. Perhaps because we are talking, people cannot listen, but there's a narrator behind us on top of the game, talking about the setup of the story. Can you give a little glimpse of what the setup of the story is? What is this game about? What is the story about? Just a small glimpse.
So it's about Ivan Ivanovich, who touched on, was sent there to investigate and set up a beacon in the centre of the earth, and went missing and didn't return. And 3 years later, returned to the surface, and he's been interrogated of what happened. They took a bomb down there with them, and it's what happened to the bomb. How did you get back up? And this is him retelling the story of what happened during that time.
And the kind of tension is whether he's telling the truth. So as you play, is this just a made up story to try and sort of save his neck, basically? So it's quite fun to play with that. So.
Yeah, the more and more you do the story, the more and more ridiculous it gets, and it becomes a sort of story of how much of this actually happened, how much of it is he just making up. He seems very unreliable throughout the whole story.
Definitely not unreliable. It's going to make me think of what's the Kaiser Sose, the film I'm thinking of with Kevin Spacey, and you realise that he's been making up an entire story that's based on pictures in the background. What's that film? The Usual Suspects. Yeah. So it's a bit of a random reference.
No. Little Orpheus was, well, I knew it. I will be eaten. Perhaps not. It will be just a small snack, but I knew Little Orpheus from Apple Arcade. How important was for you guys to be exclusive during almost 2 years on Apple Arcade?
Slightly more staging. It was good to be able to be on Apple Arcade. It gave us a lot of like opportunities in there to do the game in certain ways, but it was also something that we knew we wanted to release this on other platforms, and being exclusive, it was good that it was a short time, so it allowed us to release it on PC and consoles, because as beneficial as it was to be on Apple Arcade, we knew that there was a bigger audience out there and it would work really well on consoles and PC.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. I think it was really fun for development to target those platforms, but also when you kind of, well, from an art perspective, I wanted to see it on a big screen.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised of how well, when we started looking at the game that we made for mobile on bigger screens, how well it held up. And obviously we had to make it look a bit better at specific points. Like, you'll notice big, like, major differences, like the camera and things like that have changed between the mobile version and the console and PC versions, but it held up really well when we just looked at it, because the amount of work that went into making it look amazing on a small screen.
Yeah, because it's not the usual path, isn't it? Usually the game first releases on PC and afterwards on console, on mobile. But this is the opposite. It's a very complex game to play on mobile. It seems like a very complex game to be played on mobile, because it's so well adapted to consoles and PC. Was it hard to adapt? To make the port?
Yeah, it was tough. So there's elements of it that are different, where we've added in small interactions. For instance, the crouch, when you're crouching under things, like, that's an interaction that you can do on a controller or a keyboard. But on mobile, that was an automatic thing, because it was too hard to get that feeling nice where you could control those things. So it gave us the opportunity to add more interactions in, but it was finding those interactions that's the tough bit, because it's taken a game that was made as a simple game and try to make it not feel too simple on console and PC.
I'm now playing Jurassic Park Simulator. It's on chat. They are right. This stealth part, it's quite fun. Let us jump. And another one. Where's the other one? No, I'm not Tarzan. But now you will release this game will be released to Android also, isn't it?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I honestly don't know. That's a question that I'm not sure about.
Oh, I thought that it was a sure thing.
You might be right. I just don't know.
Yeah, it could be, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm bad informed. This dinosaur really wants to eat me. How hard is to make a game? You are based in China, or the game is just the name of the studio is just to trick us?
Oh yeah, we're based in the UK. It's just to trick you.
Okay.
It's based off. I mean, the name is. I'm not very good at describing the. You know, the Chinese room experiment. Well, do that.
I know that there is I know the name's based on the Chinese room experiment. I wouldn't be able to explain what the Chinese room experiment is, though. So
it's kind of about AI and yeah. People can look it up. There's a reason for the name.
Yeah. I really like this bit with I love the fact that the music plays with each footstep and then stops when you stop moving. It works really well.
Yeah,
I remember watching Jim put that into the game and thinking, oh, that's fantastic.
It's like those old movies that were so dependent on the sound cues to be funny. It was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I do not know if the stream can follow that, but the music is spot on with those moments. It gives so much more character to the scene that we are seeing. I hid in an egg. I'm glad to hear your military training was not wasted. And this was what you were saying. This Ivan guy is not very reliable. If I was interrogating him, I was clearly suspecting this.
Yeah, definitely. Throughout the story, the general has a hard time believing Ivan throughout most of it, I think.
But their relationship changes over the course of the interview in the game, and then that relationship starts. the levels. I thought that was really interesting. And on the details.
Oh yeah, it was a minor spoiler. And this game is not a normal platformer per se, because there's many other mechanics. Aren't it has stealth moments, a bit of an RPG storytelling. It was hard for you guys to mix up all those elements.
Yeah, I would say so. It was tough. Like, especially the dialogue, having that narrative being told while you're playing the game, that was a really tough balance to strike, because there's a lot of, it's tough. Players often, if they're doing many things at once, it's, you've got to listen to the dialogue to understand the story, and it's making sure that dialogue played and was timed out to the moments just right. It was a tough balance. That was one of the hardest things to get right, I think.
Yeah, I think it's probably more of a challenge for design teams than anyone, but from my perspective, what I really enjoyed was seeing the freedom to break out of the genre a little bit and kind of think of mechanics and situations that serve the story really well. Like, for example, the moment that you had with the egg in the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So I think in some ways, as we went through development, it allowed us to be quite creative and free with some of the elements.
I think now that players are a little bit gourmet, if I can say that. They do not want a simple game. They want to experience something new and different. And that's the beauty of indie games, because indie developers are kind of free to mix and match every genre, every idea, every mechanic, and just make something fun without the worry to make a 60 or 70-hour game. It's fantastic. Speaking about 60 and 70 hours, how long is the game? More or less.
More or less, I think it's maybe about 5 hours or
Less
so.
than that.
Yeah, maybe 4.5, 5 hours. I think it's a short game, but because I'd say each episode probably takes about half an hour to half an hour, 40 minutes to complete. So yeah, I think you're probably talking about 5 hours.
When games overstay their welcome, they become boring. So I'm unable to see a game as short or long. I just can see it as boring or fun.
Yeah, it was something we never really. It wasn't a focus of how long the game should be. It was a focus of how long the episodes should be, and each episode was treated like its own little standalone thing, and how long they should be. But the game as a whole was never thought of. Oh, we need to make a game that's 6 hours or a game that's 8 hours. That was never crossed our minds really.
Yeah,
because we then made subsequent episodes as well. So like that was also nice about it, because we could add to it as well afterwards.
And when you are selling the game, you can always adjust the price if you feel that it's expensive or cheap, and the price is balanced. It's very well priced for the game that it is. So you have no excuses, chat. The game is perfectly priced for the experience that it gives. Let me push this. Oh, I see now. I was thinking about what was the purpose of that rope there. Now I know.
Yeah.
Yes. What of course I meant to say was my training was excellent.
And there we go. Do you have a physical version of this game, or I do not reach the? Does this game has a physical version, or is only digital?
No, only digital.
Okay. Do you expect? Are you considering a physical? Chat always ask this question. Are you considering to have a physical release, or the sales numbers do not justify it?
I mean, that's all for the
Yeah,
publishers to
so
decide.
yeah,
That's,
the art,
yeah,
the
I would
artist and
personally love it.
designer. I don't know.
Yeah, I personally love it, but yeah, that's
Yeah, I
not
would
my
love
call.
it. I'm not sure any
Yeah.
game I've worked in I've wanted to see. So I'd love that.
Nowadays, it's a big investment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I probably it's not your part in the company, but I know it's a big investment. Just release a physical version of the game.
Yeah, and I do love physical versions of games. When I buy games, I tend to buy the physical version if I can. I love having them. It's nice to have them. But yeah, a lot of indie games it's tough to get that physical version because there is a lot of money that goes into it.
Yeah, and it's hard to have the physical space to just set to have every room. It's becoming harder and harder to have a physical copy of everything we play.
Yeah.
Also, it's nice to have the physical with the soundtrack.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
something. The
The
big
OST.
LP is beautiful.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is magnificent, and again, I do not know if people can listen the changes of the soundtrack to adapt to each city. Oh, I made it. So it can be able to adapt to each situation. Now it seems like I'm playing Indiana Jones. This is so well made. The level of detail. It's impressive, the level of detail.
Will our intrepid yet doomed hero survive the jaws of the ferocious dinosaur? Will he meet his end miles underground as an aperitif for a
It seems the voice of John Cleese.
All of these questions and more will be answered in the next exciting episode of Little Orpheus.
Because of the music, Rui Pereira. Because of the music, Indiana Jones, the music, the soundtrack, not because of the dinosaur. Oh, this was the first chapter. The first chapter is.
So it was. We definitely looked at TV shows as an inspiration, so it was to feel like a TV show that ended cliffhanger, and then you'd get the second episode. So it was an episodic. It felt like you were watching a TV show.
Yeah.
While playing it.
We also watched a lot of 50s, 60s, 70s adventure films. So we watched things like Jason the Argonauts and lots of Ray Harryhausen, creature animations, and like what was it, The Fantastic Journey? I think, right, like from the 70s, where people like shrink down inside someone's body. Anyway, and Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yes.
All those kind of like fantastical adventures were definitely a big inspiration.
Yeah, there's a lot of pop culture cues here and there. I've noticed that. There's someone on chat saying that is in love with the accent of the characters.
Oh yeah, the accent's really good. I thought the voice actor's done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was important in development. You hear it a lot. And
Yeah.
hearing the same voices over and over is good that they've done very well.
I played tons of indie games, and I noticed that it's becoming harder to see games with voice acting because it's expensive and time consuming. And this one, you've kept the voice acting, and it's great. It's great. It's a great voice acting. It's a plus on this game on my eyes.
Oh yes, it's tough to get good voice acting. I think you hear a lot of games when they do voice acting cheaply, it can really detract from the game.
Yes.
But when you get good voice acting, it can really make a game as well.
Yeah, that's true. It's better to not have voice acting that to have a bad voice acting, if I can say this.
And again, I think we're lucky that Dan, our creative director, is very good at directing people as well. So he'd be directing the voice acting as well.
now the background has changed a lot. The dinosaur went away, and we have some sort of tribe from how is the name of that movie on 3D?
Avatar.
Sorry?
Blue people.
Avatar.
They're called the men.
Yes, Avatar. Yes, I
Yeah.
was thinking about that.
But yeah, that's a theme of each episode is very distinctly different. It looks different. It feels different. That was a thing on purpose. We wanted every episode to have, I guess, from art as well, like different color palettes and just be visually different and striking in a different way.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler to say some of the other locations, is it? Probably say
No,
that.
I don't think so.
So, like, one episode takes place inside the belly of a whale, like a big whale. But an episode which is in like an Arctic wasteland, so like Iceland. We've got an episode that takes place inside a clock tower. What are some of the other ones? The desert, like a kind of temple desert ruin. Yeah, so
It
it's
takes place in space.
oh yeah, the space episode. Yeah, so it's really really fun. Make episode.
Okay, now I must have warm hands. This I thought this was a fireball, but it isn't. I can touch it, so it isn't. People may not notice, but since the background is not, it seems at the first glimpse it may seem like a forest, but no. Now I'm not focused on the trees. I'm focused on the stones. It's on my perspective. It's different. It's different from the previous one. But the real game, I think it will start now when I enter the building.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a lost city kind of thing.
Cami, I think the audio is
being captured at some point through wheels
setup, because I think it does not have headphones. It's to have a little bit less reverb, okay? That's why the sound of the game, it's perhaps a little bit low.
Oh, I'll turn it down on my end.
It's a question on chat. I'm answering. When since you do not have headphones, the reverberation should be a little bit high. Now you can see perfectly. The background is completely different from the previous one, and the lightning effects. I imagine this game on my iPhone. This should be something quite remarkable. It's the lightning effects, the dust in the air. It's impressive. The branches of the trees moving with the wind. So much detail here. And the mechanics, of course, they are simple. The game focuses on the platforming and on the story, so it's very enjoyable to play and to listen, of course. Okay, I forgot to jump.
But yeah, I think from an art perspective, I remember secondary motion being a very big thing. We wanted to make sure there was lots of motion happening in the backgrounds and things like the trees and the cages swaying that little bit. It adds a lot, I think, just those small little details.
Yeah. If we look at it, it's a simple. It's a simple background, but it's
very complex with many moving parts.
Everything is moving in the background. If you can notice, the ones following the stream, everything is moving. Everything, even the dust, the falling leaves from the sky. Everything is moving. Oh. Jump. Okay. Seems like I'm playing Tomb Raider and The Lost Temple.
I think this was probably my favourite cutscene in the game. I think this was the first cutscene they added, and I remember seeing it and thinking, "Oh, this looks fantastic." So I think because it was the first one I actually got to see, it's probably got a nice place. Like that bit when they look up in the light and they can straight the camera, it worked really well.
And now we have three big fathers from Bioshock. It seems like the Bioshock character. Oh, the lightning on these leaves, on these plants. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, damn it. Slide. There we go. I have to play everything again just to pay attention to the dialogues running behind me. On top of the gameplay, of course.
Yeah, there's some funny lines in there. Definitely, when you're paying attention to them.
For the ones watching, you may think that this time that we are running, it's a dead moment, but it isn't, because the story is being told behind us. On top of these stretches without doing much things. Okay, can I interact with this? No, I can't. I
You
can?
should be able to.
Oh, I didn't have a cue there. Okay. Here comes the ball.
Listen, do you remember, Will, at one point these were cubes? Blocks?
Yeah, at one point these were cubes and not balls.
Yeah.
Well, they started off as balls, and then we changed it to cubes because it was easier to move them as cubes.
Yeah,
And then it just wasn't fun as cubes. They were so slow and boring to move, so we changed it back to
we basically made this episode twice.
yeah. That's it.
You know, it's like the original. I know. It's like, and also, you know how I described we were having like an artist designer for like different episodes. So while like all the other artists and designers moved on to doing another episode, I just did this one again.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was worth it. It's better with it being spheres rather than cubes.
There's a question on chat, and I understand it. I think I understand the purpose of it. The game is already released, but do you have a demo, or do you plan to have a demo for? This game is so small that the demo, perhaps it's even a small demo, may be a big chunk of the game.
It's not.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure. Like, I think a demo could be nice. It's because it's episodic, it would work well. It would fit quite well to say here's like one episode. But again, that's publisher's decision, not us.
Okay.
It's what they would think would work best, I would assume. But yeah, like it's one of those games where it probably could work with just playing like one episode.
I thought that I was behind that. I thought that I was behind the hole, the wall. Okay. He got me. No. Get back. Okay. Be stealthy, Ivan. Be stealthy. Again.
And the next bit, I don't know if anyone ever notices like a pram on the steps. It's like meant to be like a nod to Battleship Potemkin with the Odessa steps. So it's also quite fun to put in like references and things that Ivan would have been familiar with in terms of television stuff.
I have not noticed. Yeah. Glad you mentioned that. I've not noticed in the.
There's a few little things like hidden around.
That pop culture references, they are great. I love when games have stuff for us to discover, and they are not attached to an achievement or a trophy. We just have to discover them just for the sake and the fun of the discovery itself. Can I jump? I can. I can jump.
This is another interesting section coming up with like you'll see a kind of a mural will light up. It'll be in a few minutes actually. I've jumped the gun. I'll talk about it when it's on screen.
Most of most of the places here are very interesting. When you say that it's even more interesting than the previous one, well, now I'm waiting for it.
Oh yeah, I think as the game progresses, the environments get like crazier and crazier.
So yeah, we have this thing where we had concepted murals for like the founding of the Gartha. So that's kind of people walking towards like the mountain. So you know where you kind of entered from the jungle and then going into a kind of rock face. So this is the idea of the Menk, the blue people, kind of moving in towards the mountain. And then so yeah, we didn't manage to get all of them in, but the idea is in the background it was going to tell the story of the founding of this kind of great city.
Wow, you are right. I've not noticed that, but it's perceptible now that you have talked about it.
Yeah,
Indeed.
There's a bunch of them throughout the level that you beat, but yeah, as Laura said, we didn't get to get them all in, so...
Yeah, I did make them all, but we didn't get to put them all in the game.
Damn it.
I think there used to be an entire mural room that was just a giant room with lots of murals in it, but ended up getting cut.
We did. So we had to kind of fit them into the backgrounds by the kids. So the kind of story of it got lost, but at least it stayed as kind of an interesting bit of detail for people who noticed.
Okay, I think I will. We have to start to wrap things up because our time is limited. Perhaps it's a good place to end the stream. It was great to have you guys here. You were so nice to me and to people watching. Do you have anything that you want to tell people about the game? How can we follow you guys? Do you have other communities there? Discord, Twitch, Twitter, you name it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a fantastic community manager who runs the Twitter account, Chinese Game on Twitter, and we've got a newsletter that people can sign up to and join and get like updates from the studio. It has a lot of interesting little things, not just about games, but about the people who work in the studios as well. But yeah, you can see on Twitter. All links will be there.
Yeah, and we're currently working on 2 new projects, so yeah, they'll be a little while, but we've got exciting things coming.
Yeah.
It's always exciting to start a new project,
isn't it?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
it's the best time.
Yeah, starting a new project is the best part of the project.
Yeah. The development phase, I think it's not the best one. I must assume. Well, people just yes. People just wish list if preferably just buy the game, but if you cannot buy it now because there are so many great games here on IndieX, just wishlist Little Orpheus because it's a great game and it deserves it. It's a beautiful platformer. I can just wish you good luck with the prizes because I know that's lots of competition here, and everyone has a great game to show. I loved Little Orpheus, and the next stream will be The Wreck with Patricia Casaca, another great game. And all that I have to say you is see you next time, guys. Bye.
Thanks very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Please, do tell me, what was this brilliant plan?
It is a long and somewhat complicated story.
Some might say beyond belief.
I steeled myself and plunged deeper into that jungle where insects the size of dogs buzzed around.
Brilliant, Ivan Ivanovich!
But nothing could have prepared me for what was about to unfold. An epic saga of pride, power, and revolution. A struggle for freedom the likes of which our world has never seen. Before we continue, you must understand one crucial fact.
Which is?
It wasn't my fault.